Again, I'd like to welcome Maureen Andersen, President and CEO of the International Ticketing Association. Maureen has 35-plus years of experience spanning non-for-profit, commercial arts, Broadway, regional ticketing, performing arts, and colleges. She has experience that spans the ticket office, call centers, season tickets, group sales, marketing, fundraising, and management. Prior to joining Intix, Maureen had a rich career including VP of Arts and Entertainment at Audience View, Intix interim president, senior business consultant at Spectra, and spent 23 years with the Denver Center for the Performing Arts as Director of Ticketing Services. Maureen has 30-plus years as an Intix veteran with 18 years on its board, including 3 stints as chair. Maureen has hosted 5 conferences and is a frequent speaker at industry conferences, seminars, and workshops. She has won several high-profile awards from Intix, Future Tix, Audience View, and NJC. Please welcome our distinguished visiting professor, Maureen Andersen.
Good morning. For a Tuesday morning at 9:30, here we all are. Welcome, high school students. Whereas the message today is also for those who are practicing in their profession and learning about it, this is also for you high school students because you're at the vanguard of what can be an exciting and wonderful career for someone. Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Dean McVetti and Dean Fink, for having me here today. And thank you to my friend and colleague who is also in the audience today, Daniel Archibald. I have a little bit more about Daniel in a bit. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations to you who have chosen to embark on this remarkable adventure of not only your career, but choosing what will be an exciting and wonderful life adventure. You have chosen to work in an incredible world of show business, of live entertainment. Life is full of a lot of things, but most are not very guaranteed. However, I will guarantee you one thing today, and this is something I can absolutely and will absolutely promise you. I promise you that this world you have chosen will be a wonderful ride, and you will be amazed by where you will end up. This is an incredibly exciting, wonderful, exasperating, heartbreaking, chaotic, rewarding, wonderful, maddening, stimulating, and joyful world. This world of show business. It's a world of magic, of heartbreak, but of huge rewards. A world of big opportunities. You will make lifelong friends and build circles of influence that you don't even know today what they will bring you. They will bring you friendship, camaraderie, frustration, and joy. They will make you want to pull your hair out, and they will be your tribe, your protectors, your family. I will also promise you that where you think you are going and where you end up today has nothing to do with the wonderful reality of where you're going to end up. This road, this business, this show business, has a way of taking a lot of twists and turns as it gives you the ride of your life. This business, this show business, is full of surprises. And in fact, it is this very element of surprise that keeps us in it. The surprises are sometimes problems, but often the surprises are these fantastic and life-changing moments. It is my experience that the surprises and the unknowns, the magic moments and those gotcha moments are those that keep you here once you come to it. Now, you all are of a different generation than you are not. I'm an immigrant to technology. You're all natives. Should you wish to Twitter today, I have a couple handles for you. At Intix, INTX, and my personal Twitter account is at Smokey Holden, SMOKEYHOLDEN. Feel free to Twitter away and share what will be this journey we'll go on today. You've probably heard about the phrase, stick with the winners. And that's why I'm here today. Throughout the year at Intix, my association, we look for these kind of opportunities that support an attitude of winning. When we associate who we associate with can directly influence our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors. So we look to the winners and to events like this today at Johnson & Wales, because this is where the winners are. Today, I am very thrilled to be here and that you have joined me where we all get to stick with the winners, because every one of you in this room are winners. Today, your community gets this wonderful opportunity to celebrate yourselves and each other by recognizing excellence in this industry and your chosen profession. As noted, I represent the International Ticketing Association, and I came here via a whole bunch of windy roads and twists and turns. Sometimes they were frightening, and sometimes they were surprising, and often they were wonderful. And most often they were unexpected. It is a proven fact that many of us start on far different paths, but somehow we end up migrating to show business. My story is that story. I started as a history and English literature major because my parents really wanted me to have a stable and bankable major. I could teach. I could write. Now, I enjoyed those things, and I still do. But I also got this little bug. Once I stood on a stage, and I heard the laughter, and I felt the applause come across those footlights and hit me. Well, that was it. There was no turning back for me. I still took those history and English literature classes in college, but I subtly and slowly started adding theater classes until my schedule was far outweighed with directing and acting in theater classes. I took a British literature class because of Shakespeare and Marlowe and playwrights. Now, I wasn't a very handy or crafty person. In fact, truth be told, I'm mathematically and ruler impaired. So the technical side of theater was never something that I was going to embrace. In fact, I hadn't even really thought about it. I wasn't drawn to it. And I was going to be a star. I was going to be a star. And lights and costumes and sound for stars just kind of appear. So I never thought about the very wonderful arts and crafts that go into making lights and sound and scenery. I respect them, but I certainly couldn't do it. I got a theater scholarship in my junior year in college, and I was also transferring schools from a small community college in my hometown where I'd been fully scholarshiped, and I was moving to a very large campus. But as part of transferring and getting that theater scholarship, you worked labor, unpaid, usable labor for the theater department, the music department, the opera department, and the technical theatrical arts department. Well, going back to that being very unhandy at any kind of technical crafts, I was really hard to place as part of my internship. So my counselor, when I stepped in, he asked me, "Do you sew?" No. My mother does. No, I don't sew. So it was no to the costume shop. Well, do you have any electronics experience? No, my dad does, but I don't. So it was no on sound and lighting and stagecraft. So they were running out of things in those check boxes. Now I'm going to date myself here a little bit. Do you type? You see, yes, I type. Oh my God, I type. Yes, I type. Why? Well, I had never wanted to work in fast food or be a waitress. So I had taken a lot of courses in typing in high school and in my early college years also to bring up my grade point average. And I could type, and I could type really well. So they said, okay, great, we'll put you in the box office. Well, who knew what was going to happen to me from that moment of, yes, I type. Imagine my surprise when I discovered the business side of theater, the financial side, the other side of the footlights. I didn't even know there was another side of the footlights because remember, I was going to be a star where lights appear and costumes appear and applause appears. And all of a sudden, I'm in a world where I'm not getting applause, but I'm really good at it. The business of show business. Imagine my surprise that I also liked it, that I was good at it, and that I could actually use the algebra that I had been forced to take, and that everybody kept saying, oh, you'll use it someday, Maureen. I could actually use it. Imagine, to my surprise, that I was actually better at this than I was at performance side. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that there were jobs, that I could support myself and feed myself, that my parents could not have to support me or worry about me, that I got a paycheck with this by typing in the box office. Now, my joy about all this wasn't immediate, as I did have to go through some stages of fun, and I had to kind of get the bug of standing in this side of the footlights out of my system. By day, I worked the reservation office at a professional dinner theater, and by night, I schlepped drinks, prime rib dinners, and sang and danced and did the show. That was a wonderful experience because it gave me an awful lot of opportunities. Opportunities that taught me that the prospects are immense in a venue if you are willing to put your hand up and try something that's the least expected. I learned how to cook prime rib and plum pudding for $350. I learned how to hang lights. I learned how to change my clothes in 45 seconds and be back on stage. I learned how to be a bartender, and I learned the differences between white and black Russians, Merlot and Rosé, and how much tonic to put in a gin and tonic, and that you just splash the vermouth across a martini. I learned how to write a press release, what a gross potential was, and I learned the nuances of the value of a Thursday ad versus a Sunday ad placement. And yes, one thing I did learn in dinner theater that I'll share with you. I also learned that you never eat the mashed potatoes in a dinner theater. Trust me, you don't need to know why, just pass the mashed potatoes. I also learned some hard lessons. I learned that the theater and that show business is a rough business, and that success and failures are really the two sides of the coin. That's why it's called show business and not show play or show fun. I also learned that failures are sometimes opportunities in disguise if you are have a little bit of faith and you're hungry enough. I learned that there are bad guys and crooks and dishonest people in show business, just like there are these amazing, honorable people who live their life by their handshake and their signature and their word. I learned that shows and theaters sometimes close because of mismanagement, bad management, or sometimes just the show, it's time to close. I learned that the doors of theater closing can actually mean the curtains open at another theater if I'm open to the opportunities. I learned how to work in the performing arts as my first love, and always my first love. But I also learned how to work at arenas, at stock shows, at ball fields, at college football games, in call centers, and in ticket windows. I learned how to have freezing hands inside of trailers as I tear stubs to hand people football tickets in the snow and a blizzard. That was glamorous. I was afforded opportunities to learn the differences of this beautiful business of ours, even as I learned that we are more closely related than we are divided. It really comes down to semantics. You can work in the performing arts and you call them patrons. You go over to college athletics and you call them fans. Performing arts, they're called donors. In college athletics and in professional sports, it's personal seat licenses. Semantics. You can be in a silo, but you can pop out of those silos and learn different things. I learned that this job skill was portable. I could get a job anywhere in the world because I knew ticketing. I learned that I have the phone numbers and email addresses of people around the world in ticket operations. They'll always take my call for counsel, for advice, for jobs, yes, and for tickets. I get to see a lot of shows. I get to see things that other people don't. I get access to buildings and to venues and to people and to entertainment on this wild ride of mine. 40 years ago, the Denver Center for the Performing Arts was practically brand new. My father had started to take me to the Denver Center, to the Broadway shows when I was 13, and we were season ticket subscribers. And when they were building the Denver Center, I remember walking through the covered area that was going to be the center and saying to myself, I don't remember if I said it out loud, but I probably did, is that I'm going to work here. And I was so lucky to get to work there. I got to grow up with the Denver Center. They're celebrating their 40th season this year. And for me, as a country girl, getting to play and to work at the Denver Center was like playing the Palace. I went to a friend's goodbye party. And as cocktail chatter sometimes do, people are asking what you do, and you find opportunities in dialogue and conversation. I was at the right place at the right time, and I learned that the Denver Center was hiring overflow call center people for the first national tour of Evita. My newly found show business friend sitting over cocktails, have you ever done tickets? You bet I have, and I type. Fast forward 23 years, and after millions of tickets, countless headaches, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, over 45,000 performances of 8 shows a week, 2 matinees, 5 ticket systems, hundreds of employees, countless customer complaints, and jobs ranging from being a phone chica in the phone center to group sales to the subscription department to stage door guard at the concert hall to management to union negotiator to accountant to financial whiz kid to driving stars, picking them up in the hotel, because in those days the Denver Center didn't have as much money as they do now because they're older. And this is pre-limos. And they would rent me a car, and I would go pick up stars at the Brown Palace Hotel, and I would drive them 6 blocks to the Denver Center and let them out at the stage door. I learned how to write and edit press releases. I delivered media packs. I remember being grilled I learned how to deal with the media by being grilled by the media on camera, on television, by 3 different news channels when my on sales went south for the first national tours of Phantom of the Opera, which opened in Denver, and Lion King. Denver's a first-run AAA city, which means national tours open in Denver and at the Performing Arts Center. Union costs are low. It's cheaper to build a show there, to load it in, to test it. Frozen, which has just opened on Broadway, opened in Denver over the summer. That's the kind of shows we were getting. But there's huge emotion that goes with that. And you never have enough phones, and you never have enough people, and you never have enough tickets. That's the other side of this business. I learned technology. I learned architecture as they were rebuilding theaters, gutting them and turning them into concert halls and opera houses. I learned finance, and I learned media. I got to do it all and to try it all. And I said, yeah, I can do that, even when I didn't have a clue. I studied old show settlements to teach myself how to do them by replicating. What's the math? What's the math? What are they doing? I held my ground with company managers and show road managers when I knew we were right. And I had grace and humility and the ability to say, you're right, I'm wrong, we'll fix it. But I learned that by doing what I was doing. I was open to suggestion, I volunteered, I tried, I failed, I put my hand up, I said, I can do that. I learned it all. My natural inquisitiveness was enhanced because I was in show business and because there were so many opportunities to grow. Show business is filled with a lot of egos. And a lot of people who want to show off, and a lot of people who are thwarted, actors like myself. So they always want to talk to you, and they always want to tell you something. And in that telling is that I got to learn. I tried, I failed, and I learned. And it was grace. It's grace and joyful to learn. One day, 14 years ago, I was getting ready to prep my 10th Phantom of the Opera, my 16th A Christmas Carol, and my 8th Beauty and the Beast run. And it dawned on me that I wanted something different. And it dawned on me is that I didn't want to wake up one day and be 60-some years old and be that nice lady down at the Denver Center's box office. So, what do I do next? How do I take all of this experience from marketing to public relations to finance to hiring to firing to HR to being a nurse and a teacher and put it into a resume to find another job? And the reality of it is that I didn't want to do a normal job. I mean, to me, banking, food service, waitress, meat, not so much. I didn't want to be someplace normal. I wanted the chaos. Okay, so let's try something new. I'll go to a technology software company. Yes. I don't know how technology works. I know that if I press the button, tickets come out. I know needle-nose pliers, and I can unjam a ticket printer by pulling at it and jabbing at it with needle-nose pliers and screwdrivers. I know what it feels like to have a shock, because I was using the needle-nose pliers on the ticket printer. So how do I do all of this? Okay, I'll go to a ticketing technology company. Why not? Wow, who knew? I learned something new. I could install and teach and implement software because I knew the back. I know how the ticketing front end works, and I could put it backwards into that technology. Rule number 1. When you're implementing a ticketing software system, somewhere in some venue, whenever you go there, you're going to have to do it, no matter what job you're in. Rule number 1, start with the reports. What do you want out of your reports? And work backwards. Because everything else is verstuckata. If you get the reports right, it's all going to work. Wow, but who knew I could do this too? Show business. It's this reinvention and this growth and experience and opportunity that it's given me. The sum of all of this is that I've had this great opportunity to learn all the facets of this crazy and amazing business, this show business. Some pieces of it fit and others don't. But there were so many options open to me, and still are. Options that I could only find through the ticket office. The ticket office is the barometer of any organization or venue. They're the heartbeat. They're the pulse. They're that mysterious, I don't know what they do in there, but they sure have all the answers. There's a nobility to this business that springs from that mystery. Is they don't always know what goes on in there, but they know the answers. We are more than just the box office. A little bit more on that later. Who are we? How often I have heard that I didn't go to college for this, or whoever went to college saying, I'm going to sell tickets. Yes, I sat in my parents' living room and I said, Mom, I'm going to go sell tickets. I had hard enough time convincing them that I wanted to be a theater major, and that wasn't very bankable. So, tickets? What the heck is that? Who amongst us in my business started out on this path? Not many. Some fell into it. Some of them went to college as interns and in work-study programs, and they never left. That's me, because I could type. Some of us used it as the summer job or the go-between until I get that job in that city, in that place. I have countless colleagues who went to college and they ended up work-study in the ticket office. My friend Wendy Brown, my friend Caroline Fenton, University of Colorado were in the ticket office. Wendy Brown then decided, okay, this is pretty good. I want to go live in Southern California. So she went and worked at UCLA in the ticket office because she could, because she knew who was there. All of that was working Wendy's way of working her way till that she got to go to the school that she always wanted to work in, is Michigan State. She's still there. She'll retire in 4 years as a state employee with a great big retirement plan, all because she grew up in Utah and decided she wanted to ski in Colorado and had a work study at the University of Colorado's Buffalo ticket office. Show business, once you're in, you pretty much don't get out. It's kind of in your blood. Going back to that normal job, I couldn't see myself. I had a change of career at one point a few years back, and do I want to go to Whole Foods? Vegetables don't talk back. Oh, maybe I would do that. Maybe a bank would be good. Maybe I could just be a receptionist somewhere. I know how to answer the telephone. I couldn't do it. It's in my blood, this love of show business. So who are we? In show business and in the ticket office. We're teachers, we're lawyers, nurses, actors, technicians, writers, musicians, bankers, scientists, managers, directors, social workers, psychologists, military vets, journalists, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers. Side note here is the best ticket office employee I ever hired was for a summer job, and he was looking for something very specific. He was an emergency room cardiac surgeon. He was burned out, he was tired, but nothing rattled him. After doing work in an emergency room, the chaos of a ticket office and a performing arts center was like nothing. Plus, the added advantages was, as the customers are walking up to the window, up to the counter, is he could diagnose what was wrong with them. Oh, that one has diabetes. So, look at the scar. That one had a heart surgery. I mean, it was fascinating. Nothing rattled him. He was calm. He had the best manner. He'd look at me and say, "There's no blood." We are passionate. We like the drama of it all, the excitement, the chaos, and the time, the challenge, the running of this gauntlet. We always hear, "Keep the drama on the stage." But in reality, is those people like us in show business, we like the drama. We like it. We crave it. However, on the other side, we are very flexible. We can turn on a dime. There is no other business in the world where at 8:30 in the morning, you are working on the most important detail of the day. It is all-consuming. You must get it done. And then this wonderful thing at about 4 o'clock, just like Bob Fosse in All That Jazz movie, we slap our faces and we say, "It's showtime, game time, folks." And we turn in a completely different direction with a completely different set of priorities because it's showtime. There's an audience coming. There's doors opening. There's beer to be sold. There's wine to be sold. There's swag out there to be sold. And there's an audience coming to your doors. We're nimble. We invented multitasking. We wear multiple hats at any given time. At one moment, I may be negotiating a contract. The next, I'm doing an interview with the media. And then I sit down and I have to find 35 cents in a show settlement because you have to go ding on a settlement. You don't go over and under, you find ding. And 35 cents can make the difference. We reinvent ourselves in seconds. We are controlling. We like it. To be perfectly honest, we love to control things. We're like puppeteers. We like making people bend to our will. We like being in charge. This is the perfect job for big type A people with big brains. We are skilled. At any given time, we are doing marketing, we're doing accounting, customer service, we're teachers, we're leaders, we're healthcare workers. I can't tell you how many times I had to give the gym coach speech every year to the ticket office. Wear deodorant, ladies and gentlemen. No one wants to see your nipple piercings. What did you do to your hair? I had a kid who came in with leopard dyed hair one day. We're fundraisers, we're lawyers, we're judges, we're roustabouts, and we're circuit masters in the big top. How skilled are we? Well, when you get to your first venue and your first organization and you're doing your first event, after taking a stint through the ticket office or through the back office or through the nuts and bolts of a building, when there's a conflict, just smile at them and know that you probably can do their job, but can they do yours? That's how special and noble the ticket office is for me. We are funny and we are self-deprecating. It's only tickets, not brain surgery. There's no blood, remember my surgeon. There's a great old story. A newsman goes to the circus, and he decided he wanted to do a series of stories. He didn't know what he was looking for. So one day he's lurking around just watching the roustabouts and the circus workers, and he sees this old guy. And he's all bent over, and he's ancient, and he's got a wheelbarrow and a shovel. And he goes behind the elephants, and he moves and he scoops elephant poop, throws it in the wheelbarrow, picks it up, and goes behind the elephants. So the news guy, the reporter watches him for a couple of days. Finally, he can't take it anymore, and he walks over to the old guy and he says, "Tell me, why do you do this every day with the wheelbarrow and the shovel and the poop?" And the old guy stands up as straight as he can with his shovel, and he looks at the reporter and he goes, "What? Give up show business?" There's no blood. There may be some poop, but there's no blood. We embrace chaos. We like to win. We like to figure out this puzzle. We are night owls. I wake up if I'm not in bed by 10:15, it's all over. I'm up until 2 in the morning, just like last night. We are professionals. We are noble professionals. This show business community is a group with like interests, collective issues, and concerns. We are bonded together because we share something deep, that love of chaos, the need to control and master something impossible, to solve complex, complicated problems that would make mere mortals shake. You all are in this to celebrate heroism as well. We gather today to share our war stories, or I'm telling you mine, but also to share and relish in our successes. We scoff at failures and shake them off, and we shake our fists at what's impossible. We share our stories in show business because these stories, we get to mirror each other. We get to learn about each other and to know that we aren't alone. Show business can be a very isolating world. When you are sitting in your office, whether it be the front office, the ticket office, and you are having to find 35 cents. In show business, we speak a different language, and it's our own language. Our stories tell the history of the business, from the circus to vaudeville to burlesque to basketball starting to those wonderful successes when Sister Jean at 98 years old gets to be the fastest selling bobblehead in bobblehead history. That school broke the color barrier in 1965 with basketball players. That's our story. It's noble, it's heroic, and we're patient, and we're kind, and we're incredibly dedicated professionals that work to make each other's lives better through this community, and we get to create magic. Often our magic goes unheralded, and we don't see the miracle of it all. Back in deep in my ticket days, I had 9 theaters, and I could walk into kind of any of them I wanted to. And I would walk into the back of them, and I'd stop and I'd watch, and I'd listen. And I'd watch the magic of it all, these well-oiled machines where everything works intrinsically together as a puzzle. I'd watch the pockets of joy as fathers bringing in their daughters to see the Nutcracker, and those special events, and coming to see Lion King for the first time, and going to Hamilton because you didn't ever think that you would be able to see it. The event, the entertainment, anticipating something that's magic and something that's very, very special. That's why we all go. I hazard to guess that's why you all do this, or want to do this. I still get that magic feeling even now, wherever and whenever I walk into the back of a performance space. My friend Dano will walk into the back of an arena, and he will be mesmerized and showed me the joy of a Zamboni doing the ice. I never knew what those guys were carrying in those gigantic hockey bags until my friend Dano taught me. It's hockey magic inside of there. We know that the hours, the work, the pain, the tickets, the receipts, the errors, the hassles, the drama, the chaos, the yelling, the tears, and yes, there's yelling and there's tears in this business, the panic, the upheaval, the changes, the redoing our work sometimes countless times. the reselling, the returning, the reprinting, the cursing, the reporting, and the meetings that go into all of this. Imagine yesterday morning when the Yankees had to delay their opening game yesterday because there was snow. Imagine what is happening at that ball field to make that possible. It's that well-oiled machine all working together to collectively move a date, and that is not easy. This is what we do. We take this giant million-piece jigsaw puzzle and we put it together. And then we do it again. And then we do it again. And we do it again. Over and over we do it. 99 home baseball games, we do it. 8 shows a week, 2 matinees, we do it. It's that endless challenge of putting it all together. The puzzle is ultimately the same, but all the pieces change shapes and colors every time we dump that box of puzzle pieces out and put it together. And in show business and in event management and in ticketing, you can't afford to not find that missing piece that's under the table and half eaten by the dog. You gotta find it. And you've got about 10 minutes to do it. So it's this giant jigsaw puzzle that I get the pleasure and joy of representing with the International Ticketing Association. There are so many options available in the puzzle box for those of you who want a career in show business. You get to choose how you participate in the puzzle. Each time you shake up the box and come up with a new puzzle and put it together, you get a new picture. All this leads me to another absolute that has been bandied about for years as a definition or a description of the ticket or box office, which I plan to eradicate from the English language. It's my new challenge. Oh, it's just the box office. You work where? Oh, just the box office. By that mere statement, by the implication of the word just, the entire role of this vital and integral industry world has been diminished and defined as being only, merely, nothing but, no more than, just the box office. Now you can take out box office and you can insert anything you like in the venue world and entertainment. Oh, just the ballroom? Oh, just catering? Oh, just anything, really? This collection of overachievers, type A, aggressive, organized, smart, funny, didactic, complex, nimble, talented, educated professionals are not just anything. It's been clearly demonstrated that most entertainment professionals certainly don't choose this as a primary career, going back to your mother's kitchen table. I'm going to go into tickets. However, once we are in it, we are converted and we stay. The very nature of this work and the attraction is the challenge, the complexity, the taming of the chaos of us big-brain folks. It takes brains, courage, heart, and a few wizards and witches and flying monkeys and ladies in green defying gravity to do this job and to tame it. So think about it in a moment. This tribe of professionals are magicians who, with the wave of their magic wand, turn into publicists, promoters, writers, psychiatrists, technologists, and purveyors of hospitality that ignites success in a building. Okay, so if we're going to be just anything, let's change the meaning to be the adverb definition of just. We are the profession that is precisely the box office, absolutely the ticket office, completely the ballroom, perfectly the ticket office. Or in the just and right definition, we are honorable, decent, and virtuous. In any job you take, you're going to have to create your elevator speech. And it's for those moments. I was in the UK, I'll tell you this. It was in the UK a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham, and doing a remark such as this. I was talking about the elevator speech, and it suddenly dawned on me halfway through that they don't take elevators, they ride lifts. It was like, how do I change it? The lift speech? I don't think they do lift speeches, so I kept it with the elevator. Semantics, right? So it's the elevator moments. Those are those little speeches that you give when you're at parties and networking events. When somebody asks you, what do you do? Those few sentences that tell another human being just what you do is interesting and can be succinctly defined for them, and they kind of understand who and what you do. So I've worked on the perfect elevator speech for years, and I just can't seem to get it right because partially the jobs kept changing. So when I was in the ticket office, someone would say, well, what do you do? So I tried to be simple and easy, and I would say, I work down at the Performing Arts Center. Ooh, they'd say, with some interest. They'd actually be engaged with me. Are you an actress? No, I work on the business side. Quizzical dog look number 1. Huh? Really, well, what's that? I work in the ticket office. Quizzical dog head number 2. Huh? Oh, just the box office, they say. We are so much more than just anything. I want to eradicate it. Anyway, the elevator speech, or that defining statement, has changed for me. I had a moment when I worked at the technology company, and I would say, I work in entertainment software sales, or I work in entertainment ticketing. Quizzical dog head look number 3. Huh? Oh, you mean Ticketmaster? No. Not Ticketmaster, not movie tickets, not plane tickets. So now, I represent a professional association of all the professionals and the technology behind the ticket that you buy to an event, game, concert, or musical. You press a button. You press a button. You slide, you pinch, you press. But my group, my association, we are the magic behind that button. We're the magic that makes that ticket safe. We're the ones that guarantee that it's right. We're the magic behind the button. So do you. My friends, my colleagues, to the people who are going to be my colleagues of the future, the next time someone asks you, should you ever work in a venue or a ticket office, what your elevator speech is, you can just say, I'm a magician. I'm the magic behind the button. I'm the magic behind the curtain. I'm the magic behind the footlights. I'm the magic backstage. I'm the magic in the catering. Be magical. Don't be just anything. I think that should do it, don't you think? I want to share the story of a wonderful and charismatic gentleman who was of this noble profession, by chance, like so many of us are. And he was revered from the players to the front office. He was a native of Queens, New York, and Bushy worked in the city as a transit police officer and as a bus driver before breaking into the ticket world with both the New York Cosmos and Ticketmaster. When the New York Jets needed to fill a ticket manager vacancy in 1994, they targeted only one person from the start. The first name on the list, and really the only name on the list, was John Buschhorn. Both from a professional and a personal standpoint, said Bob Parente. You could not have a better person to run your ticket department than John Buschhorn. Parente, who was a New York Jets consultant, who was part of the Jets organization for 40 years, and he and Buschhorn had begun their relationship when they were both part-timers in the ticketing department in the late 70s. Bushy, my friend Bushy, had a larger-than-life personality. He wore a smile and coupled that with this big, hearty laugh. Bushy made you part of the family, part of the Jets family. And it didn't matter if you were a 250-pound linebacker or with 8 years of service to the Jets, or if you were a 24-year-old public relations intern. He used to keep boxes of Dunkin' Donuts in his desk drawer for the football players after practice to come in and have donuts. Boomer Esiason, who was a member of the Green and White from 1993 to 1995, said that about Bushy, he made me feel as I played there for 20 years. Bushy passed away 3 years ago. But he leaves a legacy about ticketing in a profession, is that you can start anywhere. You can go to the ticket office. You can go anywhere. I'm grateful to be the recipient of the 2016 Future Tick John P. Busher and Ticketing Titan Award, because Bushy represented what was great about this profession. Our industry is changing at a profound and phenomenal rate with innovative technologies that abound every single day. This world has changed rapidly and continues to move quickly. The tools and the technology we're using today will be obsolete in a few years. And we will be radically changing again and again overnight. Ticketing and entertainment industry was pretty static for about 100 years, for more than hundreds of years. You paid cash, you got a ticket, you went to the ticket for the entrance, you gave it at the door. That was pretty much what it was. The tickets were pre-printed and you pulled them out of a rack. You pulled the stub off when you sold them one and you put it in the cash drawer. At the end of the day, you counted your money and you counted your stubs. And if that rack was empty and you had a lot of stubs in the drawer and a bunch of cash, you were a hit, you were sold out, you didn't have to worry about it too much more. If you were discounting a ticket or doing a promotion, as you took the stub and you put a slash through it or write a different price on it. If you refunded a ticket or exchanged a ticket, you got a stub and you reattached it to the ticket. We punched holes in tickets in those days to mark them as comps. I don't know if you do a history of ticketing kind of course, but the holes in a ticket, you'll still see them some days when you get free tickets from people. Even they've printed them out of the machine, but there's 2 holes in the stubs, in the body and on the stub. Those are called the Annie Oakleys. Back in the day of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, when they would come into town, Buffalo Bill would do this big roustabout, and he'd come riding down the street with a horse, and he would pull a couple of men and women out of the audience, and he would say, "Hold this ticket up. If Miss Oakley can ride through and put 2 holes through it, your ticket's free. If not, well, Undertaker's right over here." Annie Oakley would come riding down the street on her horse, sometimes with a rifle, sometimes with 2 6-shooters, sometimes she'd be backwards with a mirror. And she would take her guns and she would shoot 2 holes in the tickets, people holding them up. She never missed. To this day, the 2 holes in it make a ticket free, and that's the Annie Oakleys. That's the tradition of what we were dealing with. Then after hundreds of years, the business changed when computerized ticketing systems, but even that was basically taking these racks and stubs and duplicating it inside of a software function. It was a simple transaction. The only difference is that you printed the ticket on demand and you took a charge card forward, you hand wrote a charge card or entered it into a computer for the payment, or you did those old crunchy credit card things. But you still had to walk up to an outlet or call somebody or go to a box office window to purchase the tickets. And then the internet changed the business forever. The customer became self-determinant. We were profoundly changed when all of a sudden this business turned reactionary because the customer was now driving what was going to happen via the internet. Everything changed at that point and continues to change. Once the online ticketing sales processes were introduced, all the dominoes started to fall. Single tickets went to packages and to bundles of tickets online. You could then buy tickets that were free online at 0 value. You could buy discounted tickets. You had promo codes. You had revenue and yield management schemes. You had tickets with barcodes. You had tickets with printed home. You had scanners at the door. Oh, and I know so many house managers that still lament that they don't have a drop count, being the stub that you tore and put into a bag. When was the last time that you went to an event and they actually tore your stub? The only thing about that is it meant their scanners weren't working and neither were the online was down. That's why they were tearing your stub. They used to have to count those. Online transfers and online exchanges, The emergence of the secondary market, and as partners, and whoever thought that we would have moved from people on the street in hoodies to StubHub and SeatGeek and Vivid Seats being our partners for the resale of the ticket. I'm convinced that reselling your ticket is the second oldest profession. And it's going to happen whether we partner with it or we eliminate it. It's going to still be there because I'm always going to want to sell my ticket to someone else for a profit. Now we loom on the edge of another profound shift in this business of ticketing and entertainment management. That simple transaction, cash ticket door, of event ticket money has never been so affected. The advent of ticketless purchase and entry, your mobile wallet, Bitcoin, blockchain technology is here, and what seems so foreign and unknown to us today and to our customers and our fans and our patrons, in a blink of an eye will be habit and old school tomorrow. Let's pause ever so slightly and ponder about how we've changed in how we communicate with our patrons and our fans and our season ticket holders and with your customers. And then more importantly is how do they communicate to us in the venue and the organization and the ticket office? Or in some cases, more cases, how they are communicating about us, about the product, about the event, about the experience. Their social worlds are really deep, and they're telling everyone they know whether they had a good experience or a bad experience. Don't go there, the parking stinks. You don't want there because it's a $25 glass of wine. Go to this theater because it's only $10 glass of wine, plus you get free parking. They hold the power over the venues now and the organizations. So it's never been more important than it is today and will be. As irritating and complex and as valuable as that is that communication between customer, fan, and building, an organization, and ticket office. For those older dogs in the room, like myself, you might possibly remember Lee. Typewriters and formal letters of complaint. You got them in the mail. You got to open them and read them. You got to think about what you were going to reply. You got to yell at them. You got to scream about them, and you read this. Then there was the subscriber hotline for orders and complaints, where you talked on the phone, where you actually picked up the phone and you talked to the customers and you let them rant and rave at you. And you had a hotline that says, here, call me and yell at me. But we actually talked to them. Or how that revolutionary moment when FedEx got the complaint or the renewal to us overnight, if they had the money and access and willing to pay for it, but they also demanded that you sent back the reply, the refund, the exchange overnight as well, because it's immediate gratification in whatever period we're in. Then there was that funny fax machine that would spit out orders and renewals on that paper that if it sat around too long, it was slick and it would disappear, and then you couldn't read what the order was because it sat in a box for too long. Those demanded our immediate attention. Then our computers blew up with email. Now we have social media where it is passive-aggressive, or they are welcoming, they're reviewing your show, or they're telling you every possible thing that is wrong and how you can fix it. And then it demands that we are engaged and that we communicate and that we're proactive. We can no longer be reactive. Even as we are bombarded with more and more technology and communications, we are getting a fabulous opportunity. What we get from these customers giving it to us is clarity. Clarity that we control three important elements, if not second only to the event experience itself. Our content, our data, and the event experience. Technology allows us to fine-tune for us what is vastly important. Using those tools, old and new, give us the ability to communicate with clarity and sharpens the message from the venue to the customer experience. It gets to inform the service that we provide and how we engage with our customers. The event experience starts long before they ever walk into your building, sit down, and consume the event. How do you talk to them before, during, after? What do you provide for them? Do you have surveys? Do you have emails? Do you welcome them? The data is yours. Mine it. Know who they are. Provide content and ways to communicate with them based on the data of who they are and what they want. If they want to be talked to over the phone, use email, use the typewriter, and use text for the content of who they are and the way they want to be communicated to. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call any of you, nor am I going to send you an email because you're not going to read it. But I'm going to get your text. I'm going to get your phone number and I'm going to send you a text and say, do you want to go to the show tonight? Hi, this is Maureen. We got a show tonight for $10. That's how I'm going to communicate. And have the technology to back that up. We've done a great job in this industry. One of the things we've done really, really well, and this is the reason that Amazon ticketing didn't work, is because the venues and the organizations and the ticket entities learned a long time ago that controlling the data is key. It's king, it's money. And if I hold my data, then I can tailor content and experience around the data. Amazon wanted the data and to keep the data. And this industry took a big step back and says, whoa, no way. I've fought too hard to keep my data, not giving it to you. Now I'll share it with you. Okay, Mr. Amazon, we'll share. Amazon didn't want to share. Amazon did not open ticketing in the United States, and as you know, they just pulled out of Europe and the UK because of the data piece. Now that doesn't mean they're not going to be back. Things will change, but around that key is data, mining it, tailoring it, and communicating it, and the event experience. You get to control those relationships and drive revenue and deepen the engagement directly with your customers when you hold the key to the data. As a new generation of revenue generators, ticketing, marketing, venue, event professionals, I challenge all of you today in this room. I challenge you to solve the problems we have today. Accessibility. I'm not talking just about accessibility for the folks who need wider doors or ramps and service comfort animals to bring your service pony. I'm not talking about that. It's true. If they bring your service pony. So what's your rule on service ponies? A good friend of mine who worked at Pacquiao and with Dano and I, and she worked at Madison Square Gardens and Radio City Music Hall, and she's a consultant now. She teaches a class via FutureTix on accessibility, and she talks a lot about what you do with a service pony and your comfort pony and your comfort animals that are there, and what are the rules behind that. So that's not the accessibility I'm actually talking about for this. The accessibility to the event and to the venue. I was talking with Olivia last night about this. It's accessibility in price and access to engage in the live experience. We've outpriced ourselves. It's so top heavy in fees and everything else that unless you make a lot of money, there's lots of things you don't have access to. I challenge you all who are going to take over my job in the world, fix it. Make it accessible. Figure this out. Make it easy to use at a price point we can actually consume it at. Which means that we also need to look to the future is fairness in technology. You all, please create the softwares and the technology that allow for the ease of use that other sales environments in our world have. Ticketing doesn't. It's still hard. You still have to go to 6 different websites and find 6 magic buttons to push. And you get different inventory all over the place. Figure out what banks and the airlines and travel and Amazon have been able to do. Broker the deals that help. Open this up so that it doesn't matter where you buy your ticket. You have access via technology to get the ticket at a price point that works for you, and then you get to go to the event. I get to control the event experience. I don't care where you buy it. I don't even care how you buy it. How you get there is the important thing, is when you get there is the important key. Communication. Help us, help me, this old dog here, help us to figure out how to communicate to all of the patrons, the fans, and the customers in a way that they want to be communicated in. The point here is to show us this moribund kind of world that I represent, this magical world that's kind of stuck. To provide choice for the fan, for the patron, and the customer, to have the experience the way they want it, when they want it, and communicate it in a manner that they want it in. And data and venue safety. Help us find a way to mine the data in a safe and respectful manner that provides value. There's a new law that goes into effect on May 25th in the European Union called the GDPR, Good Data Protection. And it means, and it's going to affect the United States, we don't know it yet, but it's going to, is that all data in the EU for EU residents now must be secured. And you also, as a European Union citizen, have the right to call any business of any type with the data, and you can say, forget me. You have my permission, now I want to take it away, forget me. And you must, by law, get rid of the data and not use it again. You must prove that you have forgotten it. The technology must, and the organization must. So the United States and North America, they're thinking, this doesn't matter to me. Well, it does, because the members of the EU community travel, and they're buying tickets, and they're going to venues. And so when someone calls you from Belgium and Copenhagen and Germany, and the UK and France and Italy, they were in your building 6 weeks ago. They saw Hamilton. They came to a hockey game. They went to the baseball game. They came with their daughter who lives in the US, and they went to the Final Four. They can call you and say, hello, NBA, hello, NCAA, hello, Denver Center. I was at such and such. I'd like you to forget me. So the United States isn't ready for this. And the fines are huge and steep. But that's where data and data safety is going to. I don't even bring up with Facebook and the data mining. Your challenge is to fix this data issue and to allow people to be forgotten when they want to be forgotten, or not to leave a footprint if they don't want one. Personally, I don't want one. But I'm the first one who's going to call my favorite venues and say, yeah, could you forget me? And then I get to teach them about the GDPR. And everybody in this country is going to go, oh, that GDPR. Challenge us, please, to do better, to up the game on service, to be accessible, safe, and fair environments, and transparent. This will be your challenge in the buildings and structures that you go to. So the colleagues in the room that I have, some here today, your teachers, and you know the next generation of entertainment professionals, I urge you to consider the ticket office. This is the commercial part. We are more than just the box office, and we aren't a movie scorecard of how did that movie do last night. In this profession, we get to stick with them with the winners, and we get the spirit of the association that I represent. Today, we celebrate and honor a young professional who is learning that this business is probably now in her blood, even as she will lead us, I trust you, Olivia, to lead us to new ideas and ways of doing business and to giving us new perspective. We're all winners today. At my association, Intix is owning its magic now. We are the oldest entertainment ticketing organization in the world, and we will turn 40 in 2019, and we're giving a great big old Texas-sized celebration in Dallas. My tribe of professionals has a really big voice, and we want to share it. If you want to learn a lot about the business of show business from the inside out, consider ticketing. If you want access to the backbone of an organization or a venue, try the ticket office. If you want to be recognized and available for multiple opportunities, try a stint in the ticket office. I am so convinced that this is a fantastic way for you to make connections, is that today I'm giving all of you in the room and all future students of Johnson & Wales in this program is a $29 student membership to INTIX. Check us out. We have advantages, we have opportunities. Meet the leaders of the venue. You want access to the vice presidents, presidents, founders, general managers, CMOs, CTOs, CIOs of organizations, join INTIX. We have a mentor program. Get a mentor. It's free of charge once you're joined up as a member. You get to participate in the industry and learn an awful lot about it. Lee will give you all the access to the URL, and I'm sorry I didn't get it onto the slide, that you will all be able to take advantage of this. Also, I was talking to Olivia about this, is this job is portable. You can go anywhere in the world. There's internships, and there's apprenticeships, and there's ability. As an INTIX member, you have access to a group and to a body of people, their phone numbers and their email addresses. And through text campaigns, you'll be able to talk to them all. You call them and you say, hi, my name is Olivia, and I'm an INTIX member. And Maureen told me to call. I guarantee they'll take your call. They're always looking for employees. To the high schoolers in the back, you're looking for summer work, try up a ticket office. Work for a baseball team. Maybe a little grunty sometimes, you may have to answer the phone, but you're in the back office. Up here on the screen is that I have a content hub. It's free, it's ungated. You can join it, you can get the subscription, you can sign up, it'll come to your email box, and it gives you all the news of the day. Interesting things about the clear technology at baseball fields that were rolled out this week. Blockchain technology, the future for women in this industry. Earlier, I told you about my friend and colleague, Dano Archibald. I'll tell you a little story about my friend Dano. I first met him about 14 years ago. Remember, I was leaving the Denver Center and going to this technology company. Well, I went to Pacquiolin and was hired to implement an arena in Cleveland. And I was paired with a project manager. This professional project manager had gone to Boston College. He was a hockey player, and he was pausing in this technology company as a project manager on his way to being a foreign service working at a consulate lifestyle. He was going to go to Spain and be on the Secretary of State staff. And his wife was finishing a degree up in San Diego, so it was convenient. He was a project manager, he was a professional. What he knew about show business would actually fit onto the top of a head of a pin. But what he did know was how to implement software and to manage software and to implement projects on time and on a budget. He taught me many things. He taught me the value of a handwritten, sent in the mail thank you note in this day and age. He taught me the value of taking the passion and the drama and the chaos of show business and how to actually harness it into passion and into the methodical work to get the job done. He taught me the value of data-driven decisions based on spreadsheets and not instinct or emotion. In turn, what I taught him was show business. How to process mail orders for a rodeo, how to manage executive directors who were afraid of service charges and technology, how to work a will call window in 5 minutes training because he knew the alphabet, the value of balancing to the penny for every ticket must be accounted for. He taught me management of software and people, and I taught him show business. I'd like to think that it gave him a little bit of magic. My friend Dano went on to sell entertainment ticketing software, technology software. He can hold his own in any arena in the world, call center or venue in the United States. He went on to be a certified venue executive designation from IAVM and never did go to work in foreign service. But he's one of the best entertainment show business pros I know. And he came through the ticket office to learn it all. He knew and knows that all wisdom lies at that starting point. For me, Dano is a testament of the knowledge, value, opportunity, and growth that arises from this noble profession in the ticketing. I see in this room the future of this industry, and I'm heartened, and it gives me great hope. If you want to find out what is really going on in the industry, in the market, I suggest you look to the ticketing professionals who give it to me and give me more than any marketing study will ever give me. They are the boots on the ground. They are the ones with their fingers on the pulse of an organization, an institution, a show, and an event. They're the knowledge base. They're the ones creating the best practices, and they're changing how this industry works, and you will continue to do that. We are more than just the box office. We're vice presidents of organizations and venues. We're presidents, we're founders, we're general managers, we're EVPs, directors, executive directors, chief marketing officers, chief finance officers, chief technology officers. My organization, my members, and my ticket people, we are represented at Ticketmaster, Audience View, Pacquiao and SeatGeek, Tessitura, Patron Technology, ShowClicks, the Schubert Organization, Broadway, Telecharge, Disney, the NCAA, the MLB, the NFL, Ravinia, the Hollywood Bowl, Tanglewood. Every major performing arts center in the United States and every major symphony in North America. In 24 different countries, on Broadway, in the West End, festivals, museums, and attractions. We are people who work full-time jobs inside of brick and mortar buildings, and we are ticketing gypsies who work film festivals all over the world and work continuously from Sundance, they follow the calendar, to Telluride, to Denver, to London, to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, to Berlin, and to Cannes, and to Venice. Ticketing gypsies. They feed themselves and they pay their bills. We all started in call centers, and we rose up through the ranks to be leaders of ticketing in this industry. So if you want to work the front office, you might consider coming in the back door through the ticket office. If you want to know how an organization works, you might want to come through the window, the ticketing window. If you want to know how the venue's parking, food, promotions, price, customer service are working, spend time in the box office, because that's where the customers are calling and that's who they're telling are them. They know. I'm extremely grateful and extremely lucky to have Intix and this community and this lifelong career. They are the winners, and they have always been that for me. For me, they will always be the ones, and for venues and organizations, they are the ones that will enlighten you, engage you, educate you, elevate you, and most certainly entertain you. There's a musical written by John Kander called Curtains. It has a great lyric in it that pretty much sums all this up for me in this world of show business. We're a special kind of people known as show people. We live in a world of our own. Our days are tied to curtains. We can't picture being anything but show people. Civilians find the whole thing really quite bizarre. But that hop in our hearts when the overture starts helps us know how lucky we are. I am very lucky to be more than just anything. Thank you for letting me spend this time with you today. And I am very humbled and very grateful and had a wonderful time. I hope you will consider this wonderful business. My thanks. So it's my understanding that our friends from the high schools are exiting at this point. So we'll do a little transition. It's about 10:50, 10:47. If the college students are supposed to stay, we've got a presentation and some Q&A. the sign language used. So are we Q&A now? Cool. Questions? Dano?
Well, you talked a lot about access and that challenge for the next generation to create more affordability and access to events. You talked about the importance of the NEA and National Endowment for the Arts and how that's come under threat and how that's a bit of a
Yeah.
shift to access.
For those of you in the performing arts side of things, where they live and breathe by the contributed income or the donations, most not-for-profits have two lines of income. One's contributed, and that's donations by direct contribution from patrons who underwrite and give you things and sponsorship dollars. And the other side's ticket sales. And ticket sales revenue in performing arts rarely bridge that gap. There's usually not enough. So you have a political environment today where we have new tax laws where it's no more advantageous to give if you can't receipt. So there's a question about what's going to happen with donations now that are individual contributions. Will people continue to give? The hope is that yes, people who give will give whether they get a receipt for tax deductibility or not. The other threat that we have at a political nature right now, particularly in this country, is with censorship and with underfunding. But one of the great things that happens in performing arts, that as things are threatened, playwrights start to be the voice and the conscience of a community, of a people, of a culture, where they will be the ones who will fight back. So luckily, the most recent budget, there was fears that the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, would be cut, because that's what number 45 was saying, that they were going to cut it, but actually they did refund it. So at least that's trickled down. But when you take governmental money, is that sometimes you have to play to the governmental piper. And we have a history in this country of censorship based on, if we have taken governmental money, they'll say you can't do that art project or you can't do that theater piece. But for all of that, we have the other side of it, where it is the voice of oppression. It is the voice coming up of the immigrant, of the oppressed, of the people, they start to talk about what happens to immigrants in this country, or what's happening to, gays and lesbians and transgendered people, so they're writing new plays. It's not lost on you is that if you notice at Broadway right now, is that Angels in America is getting its first major Broadway revival to stellar reviews after being in the UK. And it's the two-part trilogy about when AIDS was coming up and when they were dying, and the religious oppression. And then Roy Cohn, who is President 45's, he was President 45, I'm sorry, I can't say his name. I'm sorry for my political bent, but he was a protege of Roy Cohn, who was a really, really, really nasty lawyer in New York City with some really nasty behavior. But he's in there and he ultimately dies of AIDS as well. So it's not lost on you is that those social conscience pieces are coming back and being played on Broadway. The Women of the World is, Three Tall Women is back on Broadway, which tells the cycle of women. So yes, there's going to be the potential that we won't be funded, but at the same time is that those who give. So you still have to ask. The same thing is going to happen in college athletics. In fact, it's even more so in college athletics, because there used to be the incentive is that if you gave these big gifts as part of your alumni gift to the college, as part of your season ticket renewal packages, you got an 80% tax deductibility receipt. In this last tax law approved in December, they eradicated that. So college athletics, basketball, football, whatever the major sport is, has got the huge shortfall in money. They can still collect the money, but there's no benefit whatsoever to me as the alumni for even giving that money anymore. And they can't say the words, these are your personal seat license and you get benefit because you give this. They've got a real problem on how to backfill millions and millions of dollars. They've got it for next year. But the years after that, I don't know what they're going to do, because where do you find that kind of money that fundraising departments at colleges are so used to having that is just earmarked? You know, it's like, okay, we get X amount from the alumni this year for, you know, football tickets. That's even more of a problem almost than the art. Sorry, I digressed.
Danielle Napoli, I'm a graduating senior. You had, thank you. You had explained that the forget me that is in the EU.
The GDPR?
Yep. So it's obviously going to impact data information that we're receiving, especially if it comes to the U.S. In what way do you see it impacting? Because it could be the people that only go to the one show, but what do you see it for, like, venues across the nation?
Number one is that they, you get a one-time, one mistake, and you start paying very heavy penalties to the EU. And there's certain criteria that is exempt, and it's usually on Homeland Security and kind of those that if you're in that kind of business of security, airlines, those kind of things, banking, those kind of things can still keep the information. But Amazon, ticketing companies, venues, you need to be prepared by technology that at any given point in time, you have to be able to forget them. And that means erasing them off the technology, not using it. You can't use them, you can't data mine them. You can go back out by consent if at original purchase you say to them, may we contact you by X, may we trap your information, and then you can go back to them and you can have a dialogue with them on, you know, via email and you know, your campaigns to say, do you want to stay with us? But if they don't do all of those check marks in the beginning, you really can't use it. It's kind of like the U.S. is still being affected by the Canadian spam laws, CASL, which is you need permission-based to send emails to market to people in Canada. And if you don't, and then the Canadians aren't really great about policing this yet, but as GDPR comes in, and they're affected because they have even more EU, less global issues, less boundaries. So, I mean, it's getting in front of that and not living with blinders on is like, because we as Americans always do that. Oh, it's Europe. It's Europe. It doesn't matter to us, it's Europe. But, you know, imagine, I mean, you know, the Denver Center who gets all these customers, you know, coming from Germany who come to ski, or the Aspen Wheeler Opera House because they're there skiing. We get a huge amount of European visitors in Colorado, and they go to our events when they're here. They speak English, they, you know, they see theater, they go to games and stuff, and they go to the Sundance Film Festival. Imagine them getting a $10,000 fine because they, you know, went back to, you know, Gunther and said, hi, next year when you're skiing, you know, come and play. So it's going to affect venues and buildings as well as like Airbnb, things like that where you're booking, hotels. You have to forget me. It's very big, and we're living in a bubble that it doesn't affect us. But it's going to, because it's not going to go away. They care about their data security. They care about them being not abused at that level. And whenever there's a transaction involved, that's your first clue and answer. You know, can I forget them? And I know Dano's company's grappling with this now because of the colleges and the number of people who come in to do with it. So getting in front of it, Google it, take a look at the law. We have some good articles out on Access, and we're going to be doing some webinars as well on what does it mean and what do you need to do with your technology to get in front of it.
You really have to cross your T's, dot your I's.
You do. You do. And there are some companies in the technology sphere for, you know, entertainment, like Ticketmaster, Tickets.com, Tessitura, AudienceView, Spectrix. The ones that do both Europe and the United and North America in business are ahead because they've had to do this on the European side. So the technologists are going to be able to help us with this if we look to them. Somebody in the middle here. Yes?
You said it was the fans that make this industry, makes the industry react.
Yes, we're reactive now.
Is that simply through the purchase of
Oh, yeah.
tickets?
Oh, yeah.
That,
Yeah, because think about it, when you buy a ticket, if it takes more than 2 clicks, are you going to buy it? The fans want it in 2 clicks on their phone, delivered to their mobile wallet using their Apple Pay, and when they get to the building, I was at a conference, that same one I was in Birmingham the other day, and there were a couple of kids who were on a panel, and it was, we don't have ticket printers. We don't have printers. We don't print anything anymore. I want the ticket here. So that's us being reactionary, is that I hear buildings say this all the time, and ticket people, well, we'll send it as an email to you and you can just print the ticket. I don't have a printer. Well, you know, and then they'll say, well, you can go to the library. So that's us being reactionary, is that the way you want it, we aren't there yet. So we're having to backfill and figure this out, not always very elegantly as well. So, you know, if you look at the Amazon scenario, you can buy something in 2 clicks. It knows who you are. It's sticky enough. Do you remember, you know, it does everything for you, and it knows you're a Prime member. You click 2 buttons, and the water shoes for my sister's wedding in Grand Cayman was in 2 clicks the other day in the airport, and they're on their way, and I'll have them tomorrow. Ticketing isn't that way. We're still being reactionary. We're not leading. We're reacting to what other industries do and what you want. Does that make sense? If we listen to our fans, though, that's what we're learning. We're not very good at learning sometimes.
Hi, my name is Galina, and my question is, other than technology, what do you think the biggest challenge or change in the ticket industry has been within the past 10 years?
Customer service. It's the one-on-one engagement. Is that the more technology we have, it's actually driven us to more of that one-on-one engagement, that where I look somebody in the eyes, that you start to crave it and that you want it. And service, respect, going beyond, are those things that you remember about when you buy a Starbucks coffee or any coffee shop, or whether you're going to a venue or buying a ticket, is that what's the engagement that I have with this person one-on-one? So I used to, when I'd go to the grocery store, I'd use the automated checkout because I thought it was faster. But what I found I was losing is that I was losing that moment of looking somebody in the eye and saying, how are you? Are you okay? You will drive more revenue through a building and an organization when you can look at them to deliver them a $25 glass of wine. But it's that moment. And that moment's going to become even more important in the engagement. There's always this story in show business about something is dead. You know, the theater's been dead since 1672. It's dying. The theater's always dying. There was an article written by a consortium, by this guy who said, you know, the ticket office, there are no ticket offices anymore because there's kiosks and there's the internet. But what I'm actually seeing, the reverse to that, is that we are repurposing people who used to be doing technology-driven entities to sell the ticket to doing human being interactions, to talking to people, to having resolution on problems, to going that extra mile, to knowing that it truly costs you more money to get another customer than it does to keep the one you have. So it's customer engagement and customer support. And it's an organic cultural thing, is that service must be organic or it doesn't work. Because you are smart enough, I'm smart enough to know when someone's blowing air out my skirt and doesn't really care. And those who care organically, culturally, stem to stern, top to bottom. I mean, they mean it, and you feel it, and you go back there. That's going to be even more important as we do more and more of this. Because I think what's going to happen is you'll start to see these, parents taking them away from their kids earlier, so that it's going to force them into, you have to talk to somebody, which is, I think it's actually a great kind of a swing back of the pendulum. Technology's driven us the other side, which is great. Yes, sir?
How is venue safety affected
Oh.
business?
There's a whole bunch of articles coming out and are coming out is that what's going to happen on venues, especially as we go into festival season, of how safe are they? Is attendance going to go down because people are afraid? We were talking about this last night. We know how to get people into buildings and into festivals, but we don't know how to get them out. That's why what happened to Las Vegas on the shooting on October 1st is that the fences, they didn't know how to get people out. They couldn't get out. It was great getting them in and securing that moment of entry, but it wasn't, the unsafe moment was not inside the building. It was from above and out. So it's affecting it profoundly, and there's an undercurrent of, am I safe? Those organizations that get certified by Homeland Security and go through the trainings that are available and hire consultants and people who teach on safety and venue safety in and out, it's pretty profound right now. Major League Baseball is taking the lead on this, partially because they have things like the All-Star Game. The Super Bowl in Minneapolis, they trained thousands of volunteers throughout the city for the 2 weeks of the Super Bowl events. And they spent millions of dollars to do this so that people felt safe. And you tell people that you're doing this. I saw a guy in New York speaking. It was a New York City police guy. And he said, every building is being cased. You may not know it. Every building is being watched. Somebody's looking at you. So if you're going to be safety, be big and you be noisy about it. You make a big show of having safety. Major League Baseball, bunch of stadiums this week rolled out the clear technology in their buildings, so that the clear that you do at the airport you can sign up for, which does retina as well as fingerprints. They put those in their buildings. The Rockies, Miami, the Giants, and I don't remember who the rest of them were, but they have clear technology in addition to the metal detectors they now have at the door. So those people who've got the airport clearance through clear are getting in faster, and now they know who's in that building, and they have that data, and they go faster, and then have their ticket checked, and then on they go, because they've been pre-cleared and pre-screened. Those baseball teams take it seriously on being certified from Homeland Security. Lee's a member of IEVM, Dano is. They do a lot on venue security. There's a lot of organizations. There's one in Denver called the Counter-Terrorism Education Learning Lab, CELL, C-E-L-L. They did the Super Bowl training. They did the All-Star games the past 2 years. They've done the Rockies, a lot of MLB teams on baseball. And they teach this stuff for small, medium, and large buildings. Soft targets are a huge problem in this business. There's a lot of convention centers, for example, that have had contingency plans on the books and ready to go with what technologies they need, what they need to do to make their buildings more secure. But city governments, they hold it back and say, well, we don't really need to spend that money. If you put in all that kind of security, people won't come because they'll be put off. No, the opposite is true. They will feel more safe coming into your building because you've gone through a metal detector and someone's taken the time to look in your bag. And you're noisy about it. It's for all of us being safe, but having those things that say, we're safe, we're taking this seriously, somebody who's looking at your building and casing it is going to go to the next building because they're not going to worry about you. You're too hard to hit. They're not going to play with you. They're going to go over to this one over here that's doing nothing. So it's massive. The other piece to it is on the ticketing side is in Europe and the UK, They know who's in the tickets because they have, you know, the soccer, the football games. The hooligans, you know, come and they fight. Big time fight. So they've had, for years have had to know, mandated by the government and by the buildings and by the teams, who's in every seat. So that's one of the reasons the secondary market isn't got a toehold as much in the EU and in Europe, excuse me, and the UK like it does over here. Because I buy my ticket and I sell it, give it to StubHub, and then they sell it. You know, my ticket, who knows? I mean, somebody in the back row now owns my ticket and I don't know who they are. But my name is still associated, but in the EU it's not. It has to be to that person, just like the airline. The unfortunate thing is, I think we were talking at dinner last night, we're one event. And I hate to say it, but it's, you know, we're one catastrophic event away from having to have that mandate from Homeland Security. We have to know who is in who owns the ticket is the same person is in the seat. And that, you think we're reactionary today, it's going to upside down this business overnight. And I wish that we didn't have that reality, but we do. So again, those businesses that take it seriously get noticed. Because the bad guys notice. And there's bad guys everywhere. That answer the question? In a really long-winded way. Anything else? Sweet. Oh, somebody back there.
Just pass that down. Hi. So you had mentioned earlier that we value that whole 1 or 2 click method when it comes to purchasing these things. While at the same time, going off her question, we still value that human-to-human interaction. So how do you find that balance between, in regards to your company, with ease of purchase while still maintaining your kind of human side?
Ease of purchase on my, my investigation, my searching. I want to find you in 2 clicks. I want to know that I can buy it in 2 clicks. I want to be able to. But then if I have a question, if I have a problem, and when I get to the building, I want to be able to talk to a human being. I don't want a kiosk. I want a human being who's going to take my needs into consideration and be gracious and kind and welcoming. And I want somebody I can talk to when something goes wrong, because technology always goes wrong somewhere along the line. Not to everyone, but there's people who get lost. But, you know, when I'm looking for an event, I want it easy. And, you know, I'm a very late baby boomer, but I'm more millennial than anything else. I mean, I don't want to talk to a human being. I don't want to have my information trapped. I want everybody to forget me. I don't want marketing spam. I don't want your ads. And I want to find you in 2 clicks, and I want to buy something in a hurry. If it takes more than that, I go on. I don't care. But when I have a complaint, or on the other side, when I have something great to say or I've received really great service, is that I take the time to also tell you in an engagement and an interaction is that thank you, wow. I do both. And that's what most human beings are. You know, you want what you want when you want it. 8-year-old. Anything else? Okay, I think we have some business to do that's of great pleasure. Oh, goody. My favorite spot. Where's the foot? Where's the footlights?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that you fly all over the world and do presentations and business, and it's just been our honor, our privilege for having you here. I want to say this hasn't just been a DVP presentation. This has been the best box office class I've ever been in. So congratulations.
Thank you. Hey, that is indeed high praise. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's our honor and pleasure. I'd like to present this citation. The College of Hospitality Management honors Maureen Andersen, President and CEO of International Ticketing Association, as the 61st Distinguished Visiting Professor for your outstanding commitment, contribution to hospitality education on this 3rd day of April 2018. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you. How lovely, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's been my absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Okay, why don't you stay in center? We're going to bring up Olivia. With every DVP at the College of Hospitality Management, the department selects a student to come up and have an honor as far as being distinguished and receiving a DVP scholarship, $2,000 in Maureen's name. And the student will be able to, depending on, we've had freshman student to seniors, be selected by the faculty. And they are able to keep the $2,000 scholarship if they're a freshman until they go and graduate through commencement. So it's my privilege and to be able to announce that Olivia Lyon has been selected by the SEAM faculty to be our 61st DVP Student Scholarship recipient. So Olivia, can you come up to stage? Congratulations. I want to tell you a little bit about Olivia. She is from Toland, Connecticut. She's in her second year majoring in sports, entertainment, and event management, and with a specialization in event management. Her goal is to focus on weddings and work for WME/ING. She's an honors student with a perfect 4.0 GPA. Congratulations on that. That's great. She likes to write and has published several weekly personal interest columns for the Odyssey Online Gettysburg chapter. She loves to volunteer to assist at hospitals, both for people and for animals. Yes, she's an animal lover. Her favorite animals are dogs, horses, and elephants. And I have to tell you one thing, on the comfort animals that you have and so forth, we don't allow elephants here as a comfort animal. All right? Horses, yes. Dogs, okay. I must say that J&W does allow students to be able to find their passion. And this is a challenge for all students to be able to find a passion find something that you are very passionate about. And Olivia is, I believe, she has that bug as far as showbiz, and ticketing is a way to have a fantastic career. Her hobbies include photography, reading, horseback riding, and visiting the state of Utah's national parks. They're beautiful. Olivia will receive, as I said, a $2,000 scholarship in Maureen's name, and I want to say congratulations on this achievement. Thank you. Quickly, I want to read a certificate of scholarship. Olivia V. Lyon is awarded the Distinguished Visiting Professor Scholarship in the name of Maureen Andersen, 61st Distinguished Visiting Professor on this third day of April 2018. Congratulations.
You're welcome.
This concludes our ceremony, and have a good day. Thank you very much for attending.